Hello to everyone. So, ito po yung unang part ng report ng Group 1 which is regarding the construction and planning and scheduling. So, let's start. Ano nga ba yung construction planning? So, sabi dito, it is defined as a fundamental and challenging activity in the management and execution of construction projects. So, bago ko ituloy, gusto ko munang i-emphasize yung word na fundamental. So, bakit nga ba nasabing fundamental o important yung construction planning sa construction projects? So, obviously, sa lahat naman ng bagay ay napaka-importante ng pagpaplano. So, without planning, napakaraming bagay na masasalang-alang. Halimbawa na lang sa construction of projects nga. So, kung hindi tayo gagawa ng plano, maraming masasayang, halimbawa, gaya ng oras, ng resources, at ng masasayang na trabaho kasi hindi natin alam o hindi napapagdesisyonan yung mga bagay na kailangan, kung ano yung gagamitin, sino yung gagawa, kailan matatapos, at kung ano yung kailangan ilaan para sa project. Mga ganung bagay. So, kaya nasabi doon na napaka-importante ng construction planning sa construction projects kasi nga parang ito yung nagiging foundation ng isang bagay. Na halimbawa ulit na sa paggawa ng bahay, yan, kailangan natin ng floor plan, ganyan, para malaman natin kung ano yung itsura ng itatayo natin. Kailangan yung sukat, di ba pa? So, sabi din dito, it involves the choice of technology, the definition of work task, the estimation of the required resources, and durations for individual tasks. So, nasabi ko nga, ano yung kailangang gamitin para sa construction project, the definition of work task, yan, paano natin i-assign yung mga tao. So, kung hindi natin paplanuhin yun, kung hindi alam ng tao kung ano yung gagawin, so magiging resulta walang mapupuntahan yung projects kasi walang alam yung tao yung mga tao na mag-execute ng construction sa gagawin nila kasi hindi sila na-orient. Ganun. The estimation of the required resources and the durations for individual tasks. So, hindi naman pwedeng kung anong oras papasok kung anong oras sisimulan yung gawain, kung anong oras matatapos. Yun yung magiging resulta kapag hindi nagkaroon ng pagpaplano sa constructions. And also, the identification of any interactions among the different work tasks. So, napaka-importante ng communications. Sa pagpaplano, mabubuo yung communication na magkakasundo yung bawat isa sa mga gawain. So, a good construction plan is the basis for developing the budget and the schedule of work. Yan. So, tama naman, napakagandang na yun na yung construction plan ay kung walang construction plan, yung budget kung saan mapupunta, kung hindi yan mapaplano kung saan dapat nakalaan, yung budget na imbis magamit ng tama ay maaaring masayang o masira kung hindi mapaplano ng maayos. And same with the schedule of work, same with the time, na kung hindi magkakasundo sa schedule ng trabaho, yung construction possible na magkaroon ng delay. Yun ay makaka-apekto din sa budget. Halimbawa na lang na ang tagal nung pag-construct kasi hindi na pag-usapan ng maayos. So, habang tumatagal yung construction, lalo yung magde-demand ng malaking budget. So, napakahalaga ng good construction plan. Next, so in construction planning, meron tayong system which is divided into two. Una ay cost-oriented and pangalawa ay schedule-oriented. So, bakit nga ba included yung cost-oriented sa construction planning? So, sa cost-oriented ay meron ding dalawang factor which is direct cost and indirect cost. Ano nga ba yung direct cost and indirect cost? So, yung direct cost ay ito yung physical materials needed to make your product. So, halimbawa ay resources. Yan. Yung madaling na ibibigay. Yan. The salary, yung labor, pasok din dito yung labor. Salaries and commission you pay employees to produce and sell your product. Transportation, ganun, and mga document. And ano naman yung indirect cost? Yeah, so indirect cost ay yung general expenses na continuously nag-ooperate. Halimbawa ay yung rental, ganyan, electricity, sa tubig, yan. Expenses needed to keep your team happy and motivated. So, sabi dito, ito yung supplies needed to help your office run smoothly. Yan. So, pangalawa is schedule-oriented. So, bakit nga ba kailangan maging schedule-oriented ng construction planning? Meron ditong dalawang factor. Una ay time-oriented. So, bakit nga ba kailangan maging time-oriented yung isang construction planning? So, gaya ng sinabi ko kanina, kung hindi tayo magiging responsible sa oras, kung hindi mo papagplanuhan ng tama yung schedule ng gawa, halimbawa yung pag-construct ng footing ay naka-schedule ng siguro 1 to 2 weeks, ganun. Kung hindi na pag-usapan ng maayos at tumagal yung pagko-construct, umabot siya ng isang buwan na nandun pa rin sa footing, ang laki ng kawalan nun, ang laki ng kalugihan na, ang laki ng delay na sa oras, lugi pa sa budget. So ganun, kailangan time-oriented yung construction planning na kung may ano ba, merong nakalaan na may due date bawat gawa. Pangalawa is resource-oriented job scope schedule. So, resource-oriented, bumabasa man ito sa mga materials na kailangan din sa construction project. So, gaya nung sa quantity surveying, nag-estimate tayo doon ng resources. Yan. Kung ilan ba yung kailangan at kung ilan yung estimate na cost na budget para dun sa, so dapat tama yung paglagay natin ng mga resources. So dapat oriented din doon na dapat tama yung materyales na ilalaan. Dapat alam natin na kung ano yung para sa, halimbawa, kung ano yung para sa first day, kung ano yung para sa second day, and nakakonekta din yun sa kung saan yun ilalagay sa construction planning. Yeah. So next is work breakdown structure. So ano nga ba yung work breakdown structure? Work breakdown structure is a method of breaking down a project into individual elements, components, subcomponents, activities, and tasks in a hierarchical structure which can be scheduled and cost. So yung work breakdown structure is siya yung nagiging skeletal system ng construction project. So, naka-indicate dun kung ano yung pagkakasunod-sunod ng mga task, activities, and components na gagawin. Ito yung skeletal system or foundation ng project planning. So, napakalaga nito at kailangan kasi dapat alam natin kung ano yung pagkakasunod-sunod o ano yung mauuna. Halimbawa, so pag sa isang project, halimbawa ay bahay, ayan, yung bahay mo ay gusto mo ay 2-story. So 2-story siya pero hindi pa na gagawa yung taas, agawin pa lang yung taas, pinatiles mo na agad yung first floor. So mali yan kasi pag ginawa mo yun, pag pinatiles mo agad yung first floor, ang mangyayari nun siguro maapektuhan yun kapag kinonstruct mo na yung second floor. So halimbawa sa construction ng isang residential house, so inuna mo yung pagtayo ng bakod ng fence kaysa sa pagtayo ng foundation. So ganun. Also mali din na habang nagko-construct ka pa lang ng mga foundation tsaka beams ay lalagyan agad ng electrical wirings at o kaya plumbing components. So mali, dapat ay alam natin yung pagkakasunod-sunod at doon pumapasok yung work breakdown structure. So it defines the task that can be completed independently of other tasks. So nade-develop ito before the identification of the dependencies and estimation of the activity durations. So ito yung example ng WBS. So makikita natin dito, nasa taas yung landscape project and under nya sunod na gagawin, design home landscape, kasabay ng put it alone and build fence. So ayun, systematic yung pag-construct ng isang project na naka-indicate doon sa system kung alin yung masusunod, alin yung unang dapat i-construct o i-execute. So sa isang construction planning, kapag wala tayong breakdown structure, maaaring maapektuhan yung mga gawain sa isang construction na hindi magkakaintindihan na kung alin yung uunahin, at it will possible na mag-lead o mag-result sa pagkasira ng mga bagay na involved din sa construction, gaya nung example ko kanina. So next, project planning. Resource availability and or limits. So ano nga ba yung mga included sa project planning? Nakalagay dito ay due date, late penalties, early completion incentives, and budget. So ano muna yung project planning? Project planning ay parang kapareho din ng construction planning na yun nga, kailangan natin ng masusing pagpaplano, and included doon yung budget. Yan, unang-una yung tamang paglalaan ng budget sa mahalagang bagay sa construction, gaya ng sa resources. Yan, kasi yung budget yung isending niya sa mga foundation ng construction, na kapag kinapos tayo sa budget at kapag yung budget ay hindi nagamit ng tama, matik na sira yung construction project. matik na pangit yung magiging resulta. Kasi hindi naman pwedeng halimbawa na lang, kung sakali naman na magdagdag ng budget, hindi imposible yun. Pero kung mangyari man yun, parang napakalaki namang kasiraan nun sa isang engineer na bakit ganun yung nangyari, bakit kailangan mong humingi ng panibagong budget. So kailangan natin maplano ng tama yung pagbabudget. Same with the time, schedule of task, yan, tsaka yung mga due date, yan. Sa kunyari, halimbawa kanina sa isang linggo, ano ba dapat yung dapat matapos, pangalawang linggo, ano ba dapat yung dapat matapos. So dapat masunod yun sa isang project planning, kasi kapag hindi yun nasunod, masasangalang-alang na naman yung budget, so maapektuhan din yung budget. So the next is activity information. So nakalagay dito ay identify all required activities. So kailangan nating i-identify yung mga activities na gagawin sa isang construction planning. Dapat lahat ay nakalista. Dapat ay ma-indicate natin yung possible na activity na gagawin. Halimbawa ay ano ba yung kailangan na mga activities. So kapag may mga hindi na isama dun sa pagpaplano na activities pero na-execute sa mismong construction project, so maraming maapektuhan na naman kaya ng budget at ng oras. Yan. Next is estimate the resources required time to complete each activity. So maliban din sa pinag-aaralan natin sa quantity surveying, nag-estimate tayo ng budget para sa mga materials, ngayon ang reinforcement, steel bars, concrete. Dito ay kailangan din nating i-estimate yung resource required time. So yun nga, gaya nung ulit ko na nasabi kanina na ano yung dapat gawin, ano galang matapos sa oras na ito, sa binigay na schedule. Yan, per schedule ano yung dapat matapos. So napakalaga ng factor nun. Next is immediate predecessors to each activity needed to create interrelationship. So ano ba ibig sabihin nito? Ito naman yung siguro ay yung shifting ba o yung palitan ng tao na para makabuo naman ng interrelationships. Hindi naman kasi pwedeng sila lang yung magawa. Kunwari ay halimbawa sa isang construction, may mga sa isang linggo mga worker na naka-schedule sa paggawa ng pag-construct ng foundation. The next week ay hindi naman pwedeng sila ulit, kumbaga ay nagkakaroon ng rotation. Though meron silang kanya-kanyang specialties, ay napakalaga ng interrelationship sa isang construction, kasi kapag halimbawa na hindi nagkasundo yung mga worker, makaka-apekto yung isang construction. Halimbawa ay nung naalala ko dito noon na sa amin na ginagawa yung daan nag-away yung dalawang nagkainitan yung dalawang worker, nagpaluan ng pala. So na-delay yung nagkaroon ng skandalo, delay yung naikot yung mixer, tuloy-tuloy yung ng semento ay may nagkakagulo. So na-delay yung pag-construct nung daan. At isa pa dun ay pumangit yung timpla. Pumangit yung timpla nung concrete. Kasi nga wala sila sa wisyo. Wala sila sa wisyo magtrabaho kasi nagkainitan. So, ayun, napakalaga ng interrelationship sa mga worker. Same with interrelationship worker to worker and interrelationship to engineer and worker at sa lahat ng taong involved sa isang construction planning. So, that's all po for my report about construction planning and scheduling. Thank you.
Okay, our next topic is planning, scheduling, and control techniques. So, what is planning scheduling? So, project scheduling involves creating a document. This is usually a digital content that details the project timeline and the organizational resources required to complete each task. The project schedule must be accessible to every team member. Its purpose is to communicate critical information to the team, so it must be comprehensive and easy to understand. So, why we should create a project schedule? Project scheduling, when done well, makes the entire project run more smoothly. So, committing the project scheduling process at the beginning of the project will give you a clear picture of the requirements set before you. It will also gives you the chance to catch issues earlier and alert to avoid any unpredictable and predictable events. Alert clients if a timeline isn't feasible. Besides being good for you as a project manager, project scheduling is good for managing project teams. Everyone knows what to expect and when. Everyone is being held accountable for the same due dates. Other managers can allocate resources efficiently for your project, and they will be able to anticipate when resources will be available for other projects. So I decided to put the 8 steps of making the project scheduling process. So first is plan schedule management. Second, define the project activities kung anong gagawin natin. Third is determine the dependencies. Fourth is the sequence of the activities. Dapat alam natin pagkakasunod-sunod. And also, magbigay rin tayo ng mga possible outcome and ilang event yung pwede nating makuha para makapunta tayo sa final. Then, estimate resources and estimate duration kung gaano kahaba yung specific na event bago tayo makatapos. Then, develop the project schedule and monitor and control. Next is we're going to discuss the Gantt chart, critical path method or CPM, and program evaluation and review technique or PERT. So, under Gantt chart, graph or bar chart with a bar for each project activity that shows passage of time. It provides visual display of project schedule. So, may kita naman natin sa picture na ito yung schedule na ginawa natin. For example lang, nandito naka-specific yung date at saka yung time at specific din dito yung ating event na or activities na gagawin sa isang specific day hanggang sa matapos natin ito. Next is we're going to discuss about the critical path method or CPM, program evaluation and review technique or PERT. So they are control tool for defining the parts of construction job, then putting them together in a network form. It serves as an aid to the project manager, but it does not make decisions for him, nor decisions it guarantee for good management. It only serves a project manager to see the whole picture of the entire job. So, ang ginagawa pala ng CPM at PERT ay nagbibigay ng schedule and possible outcome kung anong mangyayari sa event or activities na magkakaroon ng predictable and unpredictable event. So, under the critical path method and the program evaluation and review technique, we have 3 phases kung paano sila ginagawa. So, they have planning first, The next is scheduling and monitor and control. So CPM, what is CPM? A critical path method, or CPM, are also known as critical path analysis, or CPA. It is a scheduling procedure that uses a network diagram to depict the project and the sequence tasks required to complete it, which are known as paths. Once the paths are defined, the duration of each path is calculated by an algorithm to identify the critical path, which determines the total duration of the projects. Nakita naman natin dito sa picture yung critical path na sinasabi nila. So, dito sa path na ito, meron tayong tatlong path na ginamit. So, path 1 is PRU, na accumulated ito sa 8 weeks. Next path is PS, accumulated for 4 weeks. And the next path is QTV, accumulated for 7 weeks. Nakadepende kasi yung path kung saan tayo mas madadalian. Kasi ito yung event naman. At kalimitan, itong path na ito at saka itong CPM nila ginagamit sa construction. Next is, what is PERT? PERT is a program evaluation and review technique. It is a technique adopted by organizations to analyze and present the activity in a project and to illustrate the flow of events in a project. So, PERT is a method to evaluate and estimate the time required to complete tasks within deadlines. So, itong PERT pala is may deadline. For example, ito kasi is event. Event kasi ang na-manage ito, and commonly mga research and planning yung ginagamit dito. For example, 20. Itong 20 event, kailangan makapuno ng 40 event. Papuntang 60 event, dapat yung occupied na mangyayari is 60 event yung mapuno agad. So, para makamit yon, meron tayong tatlong way or path para mapunta tayo doon. Then, estimated lang yung mangyayari dito kasi unpredictable yung possible na mangyayari dito. So, next is we're going to discuss about the difference between PERT and CPM. So, PERT is a project management and review technique, while CPM has critical path method. Next is the PERT has a proper use of planning and time control project, while CPM is used for control cost and time of project. Next is PERT. Event-oriented po ang PERT, while CPM is activity-oriented. Next, PERT po ay useful for research and development works, while CPM po ay useful for construction projects. Next is PERT is suitable to manage unpredictable, kagaya sinasabi ko kanina, unpredictable event ang PERT kasi event na ginagamit nila. While CPM is predictable kasi predictable naman yung possible na mangyari sa construction projects. Then PERT is jobs are non-repetitive in nature, while CPM is repetitive in nature. So, lastly, this is the end of the slide. We're going to discuss about this history of PERT and CPM, kung saan sila ginagamit. So, yung CPM is ginamit dati sa L2.D Morse noong 1957 for construction and new chemical plant and maintenance shutdown. Kagaya sinabi ko kanina, pang construction ng CPM. So, deterministic task time, activity on node network construction, and repetitive nature of jobs. While the project evaluation and review technique PERT, ginamit ito ng US Navy 1958 Polaris Missile Program. Ito ay isang event. Unpredictable yung possible na mangyari dito. Next is multiple task time estimated, probabilistic nature. Ayan, estimated lang. Activity on arrow network construction, and non-repetitive jobs RTN work. So, doon nagtatapos ang aking discussion. This is Jammer Bedayo, and thank you for listening.
Project Network. Network analysis is the general name given to certain specific techniques which can be used for the planning, management, and control of projects. The following are the things we should know about. The use of nodes and arrows. An arrow leads from a tail to head directionally. It indicates activity, a time-consuming effort that is required to perform a part of the work. While a node is represented by a circle, it indicates event, a point in time where one or more activities start, end, or finish. Activity. A task or a certain amount of work required in the project. It requires time to complete and is represented by an arrow. The dummy activity, it indicates only precedence relationships and it does not require any time or effort. Event signals the beginning or ending of an activity. It designates a point in time and is represented by a circle or a node. The network, it shows the sequential relationships among activities using nodes and arrows. The figure shows the situations in network diagram, where the first figure shows that A must finish before either B or C can start. The second figure is that both A and B must finish before C can start. The third figure shows that both A and B must finish before either C or D can start. And the fourth figure shows that A must finish before B can start. Both A and C must finish before D can start. The figure shows activity on node project network for a house, where then the node 1, which is the design house and obtain financing, must be finished first before starting either number 2 and number 3 nodes. Nodes 2 and 3 must be finished first before starting either nodes 4 and 5 to select, paint, and build a house. And then, after building a house, we can now proceed to the finish work or node 7. Same goes with node number 5, which after selecting paint, we can now go to selecting carpet and then finishing the work. The figure shows the activity on arrow, wherein the digits between the arrows represents the time duration of work to be done. Let's say in node 1, the design house and obtain financing can be done within 3 days before ordering and receiving materials. In node 3, the laying foundation points a dashed line to node 4 or building the house, which is called the dummy, that corresponds to 0, meaning to say that there is no time required in planning on laying foundation before proceeding to building the house. Now this figure shows the concurrent activities, which is defined as the nature of the work allows for more than one activity to be accomplished, and that parallel project paths are constructed through the network. The image shows the incorrect precedence relationship and the correct precedence relationship, wherein in the incorrect precedence relationship, it shows that there are no such thing that you can jump into node to node twice. And the correct precedence shows the relationship that you can work the laying of foundation and ordering of materials at the same time.
Defining precedence relationship among activities. Activity is any process which consumes time or resources and has a definite beginning and end. Once work activities have been defined, the relationship among the activities can be specified. Precedence relationship between activities signify that the activities must take place in a particular sequence. This can be illustrated by network or graph in which the activities are represented by arrows. As seen in this figure, the arrows are called branches or links in the activity network, while these circles, mga bilog na ito, ay nagamat ng mga beginning or end of each arrow ay tinatawag na nodes or events. In this figure, links represent particular activities while the nodes represent milestone events. And we have different types of events. First is tail event. It is an event which marks the beginning of an activity. Here, in the example, meron tayong activity A and an initial event which is starting before the activity A started. Therefore, event number 1 is tail event for activity A. And head event is an event which marks the completion of an activity. In the example, after the completion of activity A, we are going to mark with an event which is event number 2. At ito rin yung tinatawag na head event. Pangatlo ay dual rule event. It's an event which acts as a tail event for some activity and head event for some other activity. Here in the example, we have an activity B which is following activity A, and now we have 3 events. Event 1, Event 2, Event 3. Now, kung titingnan natin ang maigi ang event number 2, ito ay nag-act as an head event for activity A, whereas for activity B, event number 2 ay nag-act as a tail event. Therefore, event number 2 is playing a dual role event since it is acting as an head event for activity A and tail event for activity B. Burst event. It is an event from which a number of activities emerges. In this example, we can see from event number 2, we have activities B, C, and D that emerging out. Therefore, event number 2 is a burst event. Lastly, is a merge event. It is an event of which a number of activities converge. Example, we can see activities A, F, and B are merging towards event number 6. Therefore, number 6 is a merge event. Rules for drawing network diagram. Una, dapat meron lang tayong isang initial node in the network. And the initial node has only outgoing arrow, and an event cannot occur until all activities leading to it are completed. No activities can start until its tail event has occurred. All constraint and interdependency should be shown properly in the network by the use of appropriate dummies. It's the usual practice to show the time flow from left to right. There must be only one final node in a network. Network example. From the following table of information: A. Draw the precedent diagram. B. Find the critical path. C. Determine the expected duration of the project. So, sa pag-drawing ng precedence diagram, ito ay nakadepende sa table. So, based on the table, yung activity C and D ay nakadepende sa activity A, at yung D naman ay nakadepende sa C, at yung I ay nakadepende sa D at B, at yung F naman ay nakadepende sa E, and so on and so forth. So, ito na yung na-drawing na precedence diagram. At sa pagkuha naman ng path ay yung since meron naman tayong starting at ending, meron tayong 1, 2, 3, at 4 na path. Ito ay yung path ay yung simula sa activity A at hanggang activity J. So, pag-addin lang natin yung expected time nila, makukuha natin sa path 1 ay 39 days. At sa pangalawa naman ay mula sa A, B, I, at J. Meron tayong 30 days. At ang pangatlo ay E, F, and K. Meron tayong 20 days. At yung pang-apat ay yung G, H, and K. At yung nakuha natin ay 19. So the highest number is 39. So So, yung typical path natin ay yung unang part, which is yung activity A, C, D, I, and J. Which means ito yung longest route. And the project duration is 39 days.